It's the drama that never ends. It goes on and on, my friends. It really does, and that's the Antonio Brown drama that I dream one day will be over, and my dreams are now appearing to be very much a reality very, very soon. In fact, maybe when you watch this, it no longer will even be relevant, and this probably is not the most evergreen content because now it's pressing more and more than ever. Reports are Antonio Brown could be traded really any minute, and then it's going to finally move. And I'm here to tell you why not only does it need to, and this needs to wrap up soon, but the Steelers, because these are the other reports, the Steelers need to be done with Antonio Brown. They desperately do. They need to be okay maybe with a high second-round pick, an early second-round pick, a quality second-round pick and a player, or even a late first-round pick and a player. Having to hold so swift to a solid number one or whatever demands they have could really burn this team, and you don't want this to linger any longer. I'm your host, Mike Asti, and this is you know what? It's not even sponsored by Beaver County Auto. It should be. It always is. We're here in the Beaver County Auto studios, but this one is maybe for the last time. Well, I guess it'll be the second to last time because we'll have to wrap up whenever that trade occurs and where he goes. But sponsored by Antonio Brown. I want to thank Antonio Brown. You blocked me on Twitter, but I also want to thank you for bringing all the views and all the engagement and all of that to my off-season coverage of the Steelers because otherwise it probably wouldn't be there. So thanks, AB. I'm your host, Mike Asti, and this is a Steelers Now edition of Mic Drop on Pittsburgh Sports Live, coming at you from the Beaver County Auto Studios. Again, thanks to AB and Antonio Brown, up above Market Square here in downtown Pittsburgh. And I'm going to make this a smorgasbord of wrapping things up because Antonio Brown could be moved, and it looks to be moved by the end of this week. And the Steelers, again, as I want to stress this, they need to be done with Antonio Brown. I said it months ago. I said it even before Week 17. They needed to be done with Antonio Brown. They must trade Antonio Brown. And we knew, and you can look back on all my shows that really detail this drama, I should do a little synopsis and put a montage together on probably 6, 7, if not 8 shows that were really Antonio Brown focused in the last just couple months. And certainly before that, based on all the drama of AB, and we all know it. We don't need to detail it here. Go back and look. Pittsburgh Sports Live on YouTube. Click on subscribe when you're there. By the way, click subscribe when you're there. pghsportslive.com for the website. All the AB drama content is there from myself and the rest of us, but mostly me, at least the audio, video content. We're even on Podbean. Just search Pittsburgh Sports Live now on Podbean, and I got some shows that are uploaded there. But we know the drama. And even though Kevin Colbert wants to continually fan those flames and continually say that we're put away from fanning the flames, doesn't want anybody to fan the flames, kind of wants to put out that fire that, there's been no drama. I disagree with anybody that says there's drama and wants to minimize all that to get the most value we can for Antonio Brown. And I've agreed the Steelers definitely should not trade or should not release Antonio Brown. They should trade him, should not release Antonio Brown. But it's going to happen that they're going to trade him, and they need to trade him, and trading him is the right thing. They're not. They told him and his agent, even in that closed door meeting in Florida, they should have realized it months ago and weeks ago during all the drama and all the social media antics of AB as he continuously embarrassed them, disrespected them, and broke up with them. But yet, as a bitter ex-girlfriend or boyfriend, the Steelers kept chasing him and wanting him back. Ridiculous, I know, and I also touched on that on past shows. But as we threw up there on SteelersNow.com, reports now are, and these are from credible NFL national sources, as well as local, so regardless of where you trust, local or national, it's all there, that Antonio Brown is going to be traded, and there it is, reports, Steelers close to trading Antonio Brown. There's even now a report that by 10 a.m. on Friday, the Steelers are going to evaluate themselves and say whether or not those offers are sound. And obviously they're not going to trade him within the division. They're not going to trade him with the Patriots or Chiefs or AFC teams that may beat him in the playoffs next year. The Steelers still feel like they're a championship caliber team, even though they missed the playoffs last year and won't have Antonio Brown or Bell. But they won the division at 13 wins a couple years ago, and certainly underachieved, and with all the talent, should have been a playoff team just last year, besides all the upsets and games they lost they shouldn't have lost with that team. So they still, and they could get back to the postseason. They probably should, with even Juju as number one and James Washington's emergence. So without AB, they still feel like they're a contender, and they don't want to give him away to a team that can win a championship with Antonio Brown right near them, right in the division or as a rival or even in the AFC. And the Raiders have been brought up, so that would be an AFC team, obviously, and maybe that would work. The Niners have been in rumors. The Jets have been brought up, granted. They have kind of been dismissed. The Arizona Cardinals have been brought up, but also reports are they have been dismissed. Now, again, as I've also said, it's going to be harder and easier said than done to trade him, especially if you want value. And Randy Moss, years ago during his drama, he didn't go for a first-round pick. Neither did Terrell Owens. Neither did Chad Ochocinco. These are all-pro, elite, Hall of Fame wide receivers. 2 out of those 3 didn't go for first-round picks. And we know Amari Cooper did last year, and the Raiders got a number 1 for him. They now have 3 number 1s this year, so obviously the Steelers are going to want one of those. And he went to the Cowboys and helped lead them into the postseason and a little bit of a run, even though they didn't really go anywhere in the postseason again. But he was a big factor into their end of the season surge that got them into the playoffs. He was. So that trade kind of worked for both teams, but the Raiders got a first rounder, which is what they wanted. They weren't going to win. They wanted to rebuild, and they retooled with draft picks. Everyone made fun of them, but it actually kind of worked now for the future. And maybe now they could pivot that into Antonio Brown. So it's almost like trading Amari Cooper for Antonio Brown. Obviously, AB better, even though he's older. But the Steelers, if they come to that 10 in the morning deadline and say themselves, we're only getting early second-round offers, we're not getting those first-round offers even from teams with multiple first-round picks, or teams are not willing to throw in a player even if it's just a first-round pick, and Amari Cooper went for a first-rounder, AB's better, he's the best receiver in football, we all know it. He should go for a first-rounder and a player. Or whatever they feel the value is, because there's tons of value still in AB on the field. He had 1,000-plus yards, 15-plus touchdowns. He had an historically great year last year, even while being the second-best receiver on the team based on the team vote and based on Juju's production. And even in past years, AB dipped a little bit from past years, but still a tremendously great year that AB still had. Kind of underrated, honestly. Those overall numbers are right there. Only one of 7 receivers in league history, with Moss being one of them, that had 1,000-plus, 100-plus catches, 15-plus touchdowns. So it's not a bad year that AB had. He is getting older, though, so you figure the production goes down, but still several more years of elite-level play, you'd assume. And as much as he'd rather have a Hall of Fame quarterback, or should rather have a Hall of Fame quarterback, more importantly, like Larry Fitzgerald told him, he should appreciate having a Hall of Fame quarterback. Larry Fitz, a guy that had one Hall of Fame quarterback briefly, went to the Super Bowl with him, had another All-Pro quarterback in Carson Palmer, and then a myriad of just scrubs, still getting the numbers, but obviously it's more difficult. AB will still get it done, even without a Hall of Fame quarterback. Okay, it's not like Ben made him. He'll still have the numbers and play well and have an impact with a Derek Carr or whoever else, or Garoppolo with the Niners. But if AB's craziness, AB's buffoonery, the drama that does exist, even though Kevin Colbert doesn't want to admit it, cost the Steelers from getting a first-rounder, because all that isn't ignored by everybody, even though the Steelers would want it to be. Everybody knows what's been going on. It's even tougher now to do this with a diva all-pro receiver than it would have been years ago with Moss or T.O., because now with social media, it's just always out there. 3 in the morning, he can do an Instagram live and run amok there and decrease his value potentially. And all this, I'm sure, did decrease his value, and also the official word that the Steelers are going to try to move him, and him tweeting the departing ways and the picture with Rooney. And teams know the Steelers are a bit vulnerable here, because Rooney has said, and it needs to be the case, that they can't imagine going into training camp with Antonio Brown in the fold any longer. They need to divorce and finally part ways. They finally got to the point that, say, I was at months ago, and they should have been prior. But they're there now. It's publicized. So because of that, they know the Steelers are semi-desperate to move him. They got to get rid of him. They got to unload in a way. So you're not going to always get the Steelers the best offer. Some teams may try to lowball the Steelers, may try to say, you're desperate, you got to get rid of him. He's not going to even show up for you. Even if you have him under contract, he'll linger. You can find him, but he won't show up, and it'll be more drama. And you want less of that now if you're the Steelers, because drama cost you a playoff appearance. Drama really fueled you underachieving the last several years with that talent. Maybe you're better off with less talent on the roster, at least in terms of names and star power, but actually a sounder locker room. Again, maybe addition by subtraction with Antonio Brown and Le'Veon Bell. Probably the case, in all honesty. So, if they're only receiving offers for a second rounder, or if it's a second round and not a play, you don't want to get obviously ripped off, and you're never going to release Antonio Brown. As much as he tried to have all these antics fuel him to get released, and I do believe that's what he wanted, that's what his agent maybe was directing him, or at least what he wanted. He wanted to push the envelope as much as he could to get released and to force being released. Steelers obviously aren't dumb. The Steelers aren't going to release Antonio Brown and get nothing for him and let him go wherever he wants, go to the Niners for Jerry Rice or wherever. No, they're not going to do that, nor should they. Nor should they. They're rather off sitting him than give him what he wants there. But they can't let this go on. Okay? They can't let this go on any longer. And Kevin Colbert's no drama comment, it's just not true. It's just simply not true. As I said there, SteelersNow.com, there is drama. Having Antonio Brown around did elicit drama. So the Steelers need to alleviate that. But as much as he tried to sell there was no drama, obviously it was in existence, and that may hurt the value. But the Steelers need also to get this done as quick as possible. Reports are it is wrapping up soon. And it's not just Steelers Now, even though you should trust us. But here again, Ian Rappaport saying the Jets and Cardinals are out, but you wouldn't be surprised if this is wrapped up soon and a lot of interest generating the last 48 hours. Adam Schefter, who again, if you don't trust Ian Rappaport, you get some jokes. But Adam Schefter, again, he's in the know. He's going to be trusted, corroborating, saying the same thing. It's wrapping up soon. Deal expected to be in place by Friday. But then there are the reports from the Steelers. Mostly us here, local media are hearing this. The national media kind of ignoring it because it doesn't fit their narrative of drama, which, again, this is dramatic, but still. The Steelers are going to weigh these options at 10 in the morning on Friday and decide whether those options are valid enough, whether they're getting that value for Antonio Brown back, whether those trades and those offers are warranting the production of the best receiver in football, even though they obviously need to move on from him. And then if not, they may hold pat, or they may go on to next week, or they may go longer. This may linger, may go into the draft. Who knows? Well, I'm here to tell you why that needs to not be a concern. I'm not telling the Steelers to advertise this, because obviously that would be dumb. But at 10 in the morning Friday, if those reports are true, at 10 a.m. Friday, or whenever, the Steelers need to pull the trigger on the best offer. Now, as long as it's not a 7th-round pick, obviously that's not going to be acceptable, even a 4th or 5th. Within the realm of possibility, which are the offers they're getting, at minimum probably a 2nd-rounder, but whatever the best offer is, and they realistically are going to include 2nd rounds, are going to include players, are going to include maybe 3rd round, but probably as late as we go, are going to include even 1st-round offers, I'd imagine. Granted, it's hard to move him because not many teams have the slots, have the picks, have the need, or want to deal with this. And again, the Steelers, the division, the Patriots, the Chiefs, they're not going to, ideally not trade in the AFC, but the Raiders continuously are brought up, but not necessarily to a rival or a team that can immediately beat them in the postseason, a team they believe that could use him to win a championship. I guess they don't think that of the Raiders as bad as they were last year, at least being years away, you'd imagine. And the Raiders they just worked with a year ago in trading Martavis Bryant when he started acting up, and not the cachet of Antonio Brown, not the best receiver in football, but still, the Raiders are known to do these things. This is the Al Davis Raider way, even though he's passed away. It's still the same situation, now with John Gruden running the helm. But The point of it is the Steelers need to take the best offer as soon as possible. The Steelers need done with Antonio Brown. They need to make my nightmares into reality in terms of him being gone. They need to make the nightmares of this drama continuing finally washed away. They need to make it a dream scenario of him being gone because this nightmare of this drama has been lingering. They need to get these deals because as long as he's on the Steelers, the longer he is on the Pittsburgh Steelers, the worse the value will be. The more the value decreases for Antonio Brown. And it's for two reasons. Number one, teams will continuously know how desperate the Steelers are because they need to move him. They can't have him on the team next year. They both publicly have said they're divorcing. So the longer he's there, the more desperate the Steelers are to trade him. The value is going to go down. The other teams are going to feel like the Steelers don't hold the cards anymore. They don't have the control anymore. They don't have the bargaining chips anymore because they're desperate to move him. They're going to try to lowball the Steelers and get the lowest offer that they give up for Antonio Brown. But the other reason, and this might be the most important, and this is why it's been a nightmare, this is why it's been dramatic, this is part of why they need to move him, and how we got to this point. Here's an example. Here's the recent example. Antonio Brown and his antics. Antonio Brown and his drama. Every hour, every minute, every second, even could be happening now during the recording of this show, that Antonio Brown is not traded, that he is still a member of the Pittsburgh Steelers with 3 years left on his contract. And vocally saying he's moving on and the Steelers doing the same. You can get more drama. You can get more value hurting and more antics and more buffoonery, and all of that is going to do nothing but hurt the scenario for the Steelers. Nothing but hurt the value for Antonio Brown. Nothing but make the Steelers more desperate to move him, make more other teams aware that they're desperate to move him, and do nothing but make the trading of Antonio Brown more and more difficult. And here's a latest example. Antonio Brown now part of the website Cameo, where him and other celebrities, and saw Katie Couric actually oddly there, Norm Macdonald, who no one's really heard of in decades, back in the 90s in SNL and Weekend Update. One of my favorites from Weekend Update and Saturday Night Live, but done nothing in 20 years. And other celebrities of that ilk who either need some cash or haven't done anything in a while, or really Gary Busey's there because just of course he is. And many of you maybe are this stupid to do this. I don't know. I hope not, guys. Really, I hope not. I think more of you than this, or do I? But you can pay $500 to Antonio Brown, and it may say to charity, but again, there's no link there. We're not sure. Nowhere Media is reporting that. And knowing Antonio Brown, would you actually be comfortable that this is going to go to charity and none of it's in his pockets? I don't know where that money's going, but you're spending $500 of your hard-earned money, and even if you're filthy rich, which maybe you could talk to us about some sponsorship and maybe be a partner here at Pittsburgh Sports Live. But again, if you're filthy rich, it's still a waste. But you, the people, could spend $500 to Antonio Brown and have him record a video, do a little selfie video, while high, I'd imagine, and from what we've seen, while high. Again, look at the image. The man's high. And wish you a happy birthday. Congratulate you on a promotion at work. Wish you a happy anniversary. Say something to your wife. Kids. Whatever. He could do a video for you for $500. Antonio Brown, now member of Cameo. Him and Gary Busey, they're now teammates. Antonio Brown, Katie Couric, Norm Macdonald, and Gary Busey, just to name a few, they're now teammates. So Antonio Brown didn't need traded. He was able to sign with Cameo. And guys, don't be that dumb to pay him $500 for those videos. I'm not even sure if the comments on that page on his profile there are real, because I can't imagine. I mean, I guess some of you have paid, or he wouldn't have those videos. But God, that would be stupid. Nonetheless, more and more reports like that Though, this is a guy trying to make a buck, sure, and he's using his. Really, it's you guys being stupid if you pay for it, not as much him. But it's still more and more drama, more and more antics, more and more buffoonery, ridiculous, asinine. Any of those words you want to use. It fits Antonio Brown the last several months. It fits any second of his social media activity. It fits any second of the day that he's still on the Steelers. And I'm sure how he'll act somewhere else. Maybe he'll act right early on and be all happy he's there and gone from the Steelers, free at last, like the Le'Veon Bell tweet. But still, don't think that you won't be walking on eggshells, that fan base, those players, and eventually things will change, that coaching staff too. But regardless, he's going to move on. The trade should be happening soon, maybe even by the time you watch this show. But the Steelers need to take the best offer. The Pittsburgh Steelers need to take the best offer for Antonio Brown. I don't care what it is. It's not going to be horrendous. It won't be a 7th-round pick. He has value. He is the best receiver in football. But they can't let this linger. There can't be any 10 in the morning Friday deadline where they say to themselves, nope, that offer's not good enough. We're going to wait. We're going to let this go weeks and weeks and weeks. No. They need to take the best deal and quickly. They need this done quickly. Because every day he's on the Steelers, every day this trade hasn't happened, it could reduce his value more and more. It could decrease his value because his antics and the fact that the Steelers would be even more desperate would all decrease the value, make the value worse. And Amari Cooper wasn't doing things like this. He wasn't acting a fool. And yes, he went for first-round pick and shouldn't have, but he's not as good as Brown. But come on. Antonio Brown's not helping his case, not helping the Steelers get value for him. So the Steelers just need to get whatever the best value, the best possible value they can for Antonio Brown, and then finally move on. So I myself can move on, can be more mentally sane than I'm getting a little crazy covering Antonio Brown, I got to say. And our nightmare, the nightmare of Steeler fans and Steelers media and the Steelers of dealing with the Antonio Brown drama, can finally come to an end and be a dream of a season without him. Even though I'm sure, yes, he's the best receiver in football, it may hurt them on the field, but there's really there's no wanting him back now, and nor should there be, and I touched on that in past shows. Once again, as I wrap up every single broadcast, a little housekeeping, and that means you need to go hit up the Pittsburgh Sports Now, Pittsburgh Sports Live family of networks. PittsburghSportsNow.com, PittsburghHockeyNow.com, PittsburghSoccerNow.com even exists. Our venture, as I've detailed throughout this program, SteelersNow.com are the newest things we do here within the family of networks. Pittsburgh Sports Live, go there. See the graphic? Go there, click subscribe, click on the subscribe button, so we can get all our content to you. Alan covering Pitt, Dan covering the Penguins, me with the Steelers here, and a lot of these takes, even though we're in the off season, we're going to get into the Pirates as we move towards that season. We even have a hot stove show already brewing, and that can be some optimism from the younger Noah Hiles, who hosts that, and maybe the rest of us who appear on that show, and giving him, I don't want to say a dose of reality, but, keeping it real, whether you guys like it or not. Corner 3, Cale Berger does great work there, Corner 3. So we're covering basketball. We're the only real legit credentialed outlet here in the Pittsburgh area, in the region, that's actually talking NBA. We do talk NBA, obviously Pitt basketball and what's going on. We would talk WVU if they were able to get in the tournament, but they've been horrendous. Duquesne, Robert Morris, and Pitt's been obviously on a losing streak, and they're not going to be in either, but it's mostly a Pitt program from our exclusive coverage, at least the way we do it with the Pitt and the NBA mix. And even Duquesne, we're covering Duquesne as well. So find all that, PittsburghSportsNow.com, Pittsburgh Sports Live on YouTube. Subscribe, follow us there. Follow us also on Twitter, at PGH Sports Live on Twitter, at PGH Sports Live on Twitter. Also find us Steelers Now at PGH Steelers Now on Twitter, at PGH Steelers Now on Twitter. And find me, there it is, at Mike Asti 11 on Twitter. You can send me the love, you can send me the hate, but either way, there it is, at Mike Asti 11 on Twitter. God, I need to pray. Let this nightmare be over, God. Let it be over. Let Antonio Brown be gone, because, boy, It needs to happen, and it needs to happen now.